The government is reportedly considering bringing in an app cap for children to stop them getting addicted to social media. This would mean that children would only be able to access specific apps like Instagram or Facebook, say, for 2 hours a day, at which point the site would be blocked. A 10 p.m. curfew on devices registered to children would also be on the table. But Ian Russell, whose daughter Molly, as I'm sure you remember, took her own life at just 14 years old after seeing harmful content online, says these measures don't go nearly far enough, and the government needs to act decisively to safeguard children. And maybe you really do agree with him. 0207 862 2222. Sam, how old's your son now?
He's 18. He must be thrilled because this wouldn't affect him.
Right. Have you kept a safe eye or tried to safeguard what he's doing online?
I did initially, and I was probably a bit too overprotective. I mean, I need a cap on my usage. I've got to be honest, I'm a complete hypocrite on this. But there is a stage at which I just had to try and trust him, and I'm sure he makes mistakes, and maybe this will hit me in the face. But after about the age of 14, I just had to trust that I taught him enough to behave responsibly-ish.
Hang on. This is the government trying to parent our kids. Parents should be doing this already. It's up to the parents to say, you're not on your phone past 10... What kid's on the phone at 10 p.m? Should be in bed by 7. That's ridiculous. And also, Instagram, Snapchat, you've got to be 14 years old to use those. If your kids have got those, they are already doing something wrong, and that's down to the parents to be sorting that out. Not the government. It's just called parenting.
I know, but let's not pretend we haven't seen what's going on. How many of us have been, not in a horrible emergency situation, like stuck on a train that isn't moving, but in a perfectly cordial, lovely situation, like on holiday, in a restaurant where the sun's shining and there's sand and sea, and you're meant to be chatting and having a nice time as a family. And what do we see? All the children around the table, from a baby to a teenager, each one plugged into a device, staring at a screen, and the parents, and the parents.
That's terrible parenting.
Yes, but parents love these things, and they constantly say, what can I do? All the other children are on them. If I don't let my child do this, then my child will be a social pariah, left out of everything.
Letting your kids go and play computer games that have got violence in and are made for 18-year-olds and saying, well, all the other 12-year-old kids have got them. That's not an excuse. Do your job.
Also, it doesn't. When we talk about kids, I mean, we are talking. I mean, you're talking about kids should be in bed at 7 o'clock. What, when they're 14, 15? No.
Well, no, 14, 15-year-olds, this cap wouldn't apply to them.
No, but there is a sort of point, surely, where you look at Australia, because I think Australia's now banned it for under 16s, haven't they? They've banned social media. And there is an element that actually I just think, do you know how lovely it was growing up when I did, in 1840? And, no, but it was but it was so lovely that I didn't have anybody kind of, making me really envious of their life or making me feel really rubbish because of the fact that I didn't conform to whatever the latest Instagram account said or anything else. It would have been lovely. And actually, there's something blissful about saying under 16, you're not allowed social media.
What kind of parents say that? What kind of parents do that?
No,
exactly.
I'm saying if you do I'm just saying,
But the government can't enforce that either way.
Well, in Australia, I don't know how they're going to enforce it.
They'd have to literally do a blackout of social media.
Which makes perfect sense. And really, the question is, why is the government not hurrying up? Because we see so many reports about children's ability to concentrate, to focus, their self-esteem, doom scrolling, and the effect that has on your self-worth and everything else. And none of it's good. None of it. I don't mean everything on the internet is bad, but kind of unlimited access for hours and hours of every day is much too much. Let's go to Sharon in Staffordshire. Hi, Sharon. What are you seeing is going on out there?
Okay. Good afternoon, lovely Vanessa, on your panel.
Oh, aren't you nice? Good afternoon.
Vanessa, good afternoon. Vanessa, if I had my own way, children would not be on social media. I think it's the worst thing that could ever have been created. And I think that is why we've got so many children with mental health problems because of social media. And also, Vanessa, I blame the parents. Yeah. The parents have got a lot to do with this because how can your child be in the same house as you, upstairs on social media, and you don't know what your child's doing for hours and hours?
I mean, absolutely. And of course, we've all seen adolescence, and some of us haven't felt we needed to see it to realise what was going on out there. And lots of people have needed to see it. And their punchline of that seems to be, a child alone in its bedroom now is not safe, is not protected, and you have absolutely no idea who might be preying on your child,
exactly
what
that.
your child might be seeing, what they might be sent, what might be causing them grief and distress. You don't have any idea at all unless you step up and take control and say, I'm the parent and I'm protecting you from this and I'm not
And I
having
look
it.
back at the fact that, the bullying, for example, this is another thing. The bullying doesn't stop anymore.
That's right.
It used to stop, but, I'm not excusing what went on at school, but at least you got home and for a while you actually were away from those appalling people.
Here. Absolutely, well said. And let's go straight to Anne in Nottinghamshire. What do you feel about this, Anne?
I think we should go the way of Australia, and they're trying to ban children's access to the net until they're after 16.
And tell me why. Well, tell me why you think. What do you feel is the damage being done?
If you saw some of the stuff that they can access on the net, I was a former teacher, secondary school teacher,
Right.
and if you saw some of the most disgusting stuff that they can access on the net, children are far too long adults and not long enough children, and I just think we should just ban it.
And may I ask you, Anne, when you were teaching, did you notice children's attention span shortening? Did you notice them being more fractious, sleeping less, all that kind of thing that you can see in their behaviour because of screens?
I actually started teaching in 1993, so that was pre-social media. But in fact, I went in and did some work with some kids fairly recently, and I do think, it's terrible. I go to the National Trust and I see children with iPads, and the parents are pushing them through the park, and they're just addicted to iPads and laptops and smartphones. It's just totally ridiculous, and I just think it's time the government took a strong stand on this.
And thank you for ringing. One of the problems with it, of course, the kind of really huge problem is that adults adore these devices. We lose ourselves in them for hours on end. So to wrench adults away from them is incredibly difficult. To wrench yourself away is almost impossible. And I resisted it till the pandemic. I had an £8 Nokia till the pandemic. I didn't have a smartphone. I'd never sent an email, received one, looked at porn, shopped online, or anything until I know it's true. And now I have to put glasses on to look at it. I've never bothered to look at it at all. And I still don't bank online or shop online or anything like that whatsoever. But I still pay all my bills with an envelope and a stamp. But I have done that thing of social media where you find yourself falling down the well and you can't get out. And I should know far better. And I waited so long to do it. And then I was kind of beguiled. And so one of the reasons we don't stop our kids is because we love it ourselves, isn't it?
They are addictive. They're all bright and shiny and sassy, and you're right, you lose yourself in other things. You do find really amazing stuff on there.
Yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves that it's just this sort of a wash with hideousness. How many of us have not looked over and over again at a seal doing an impression? But anyway, talking about yourself.
I've never, ever looked at that. Let's go to Pat, who's in London. Pat, you used to be a teacher. Thank you so much for ringing. What do you feel should happen, Pat?
I think no child under 14 years old should be on their phone until after 8 o'clock. When do they get to do their homework? Most of these kids turn up at school without any homework. I forget it at home. I haven't done it. I was tired. Because they were spending time on their phones. And I think it's the responsibility of the parent to see that the child is not on their phones in the evenings. Homework comes first. And parenting should not be left to teachers and the government. That's not what we're there for. We're not there to parent their children. And when you do try to parent, give them some help, the parent themselves turn on you. You can't do anything. You can't even tell the child, put away your phone. Most children tell you it's not your phone. It's not you that buys it. It's my mother that buys it. And you can't say anything to them.
And at the school that you worked at, Pat, was there any kind of policy of getting all the parents in and saying, look, we need you to limit screen time, or we need to make sure... Nothing at all?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing at all.
No.
Nothing
And do you have any hope
place.
at all, Pat, do you think, given our addiction to our phones, our affection for our phones, given the fact that we always need somebody to look after our children and a phone's an excellent babysitter, so is a screen, do you have any hope at all that children's access will be limited, or do you think it's just going to get worse and worse?
It's just going to get worse and worse. The parent has to take this into control. They have to stop giving kids phones for Christmas presents, for birthday presents under 10 years old. No, you can't do that.
And yet nobody is going to step up, Sam, and say, no, you can't do that. The government certainly hasn't taken any steps yet.
Well, I think I would agree with JJ on this one, that it does have to come down ostensibly and mostly to parents. But I mean, the deal I did with my son, to Pat's point, was that I used to make sure that he could only use his phone when he was at the age that he had a phone, after the homework had been done.
What age did he have a phone then?
He got a phone to go to and from school when he went to secondary school.
It's often at 11. That's often, although lots of children under the age of 7 have.
Just because he was walking on his own for the first time. And I was bringing him up as a single parent as well, and I had...
But that could have been just a brick phone like Vanessa had, though.
Yeah, it was only later that he was allowed to use it kind of like on the sofa after he'd done homework. I can't verify the standard of the homework, but the homework was completed. That was our deal. Yeah. And if his grades slipped, then that was going to be a conversation.
Well, see, this is called parenting, and she's doing it perfectly. I don't understand why we have to look to the government to say, no, the government must ban it. No. If your kid's too fat, the parents have got to feed your kid a better diet, not the government has to ban all junk foods. If your kid's addicted to social media, the parents have got to take the phone away and say, no, I don't care if you're having a tantrum about it, you don't get your phone because you're addicted to social media, and you shouldn't be on it at 10 p.m. at night.
But you heard our caller Pat, a teacher, saying if the teachers tried to say, give me your phone, hand it in, they said, it's not your phone, miss, you didn't buy it, it's my phone. That kind of thing. Parents not liking teachers to step in. Parents not stepping in themselves.
But you could have head teachers, but you could also have head teachers, surely, aren't they allowed to say something?
Schools have policies on this. Yeah. No schools have a no phone policy. Yeah. And that was certainly the case at my son's secondary school. And then it would get confiscated. Yeah. And that was that.